Hey y'all, what's good? It's your boy. I'm back. I've been seeing a lot of discourse about the Game Awards and what's going to win Game of the Year. So I decided to spend the last month or so diving into all of these games that have come out, really taking into every detail I can while analyzing this. I've been crunching the numbers. I've been going big brain mode for y'all. And I think I'm ready to discuss the nominees for Game of the Year. So let's get into it. But before I get into what the Game of the Year nominees are this year, I want to say why it's so hard this year in comparison to other years. Previous years, Elden Ring, clear winner, clear choice. Even though other games were great that year, it was clear Elden Ring was the winner. And in my opinion, last year, it was clear Baldur's Gate 3 was the winner.
Come on, do not hold my niggas, bro. Do not hold my niggas, bro.
And the Game of the Year is
Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm sorry, Spider-Man fans. Look, I love y'all. I like Spider-Man. I like the game. I like games that other people who play Spider-Man like. I agree, but that game did not deserve to win. I'm sorry. Baldur's Gate 3 is a 10 out of 10 game. That game deserved all the awards and more that it won. So the first game I want to talk about is Astro Bot. I'll be honest, Astro Bot is amazing. It is a great game. If you love level design, if you love fun and lightheartedness, and if you love intense yet super satisfying and rewarding levels, Astro Bot's for you. I love Astro Bot. I think Astro Bot is one of the best platforming / just level type of games to come out in a long time. And it really makes the top contender, which is Nintendo, run for their money, honestly. I think Astro Bot deserves to be on here, and I really do think it's a great game. Now, being said, in my personal opinion, I would give this an 8.8 or a 9, a low 9 out of 10. I don't think this is a 10 out of 10 game. I just want that to be kept in mind. And the reason why is because when you just compare it to a 10 out of 10 game, in my opinion, Baldur's Gate 3 is a 10 out of 10 game, we see that there's just a lot of content and additional extra intricacies missing in Astro Bot that we just don't see in 10 out of 10 games. Now let's dive into Balatro. So on the other hand, where I feel like Astro Boy is just missing just enough for me not to give it a 10 out of 10, I feel like on the other hand, Balatro does so much with so little and really just subverts your expectations going in. You think this is going to be a normal or a simple card game that's addictive in some way, but you don't realize how deep it goes. There are approachable yet complex systems, and overall just the atmosphere, the amount of time you can put into this game, it's a slippery slope, and I sort of love how much they can do with so little on the surface. And in my opinion, I feel in general, the music, the gameplay, everything else about it is good. The deck building is super satisfying, so in my opinion, I would rank this a little higher than Astro Boy, but they're neck and neck, I think it gets really tough as we go down this list. It's going to get increasingly tougher. Now we get to the game on this list that I feel is an outlier and shouldn't even be considered for Game of the Year. This game is not a 10 out of 10 game. It's not a 9. It's not an 8 out of 10 either. This game is in the 7 range in my opinion. Black Myth Wukong strives for greatness. It really does. And I think there's so much about it that I really do enjoy. But there is just too much over time that just seeps into you as a player that just makes you not want to play this game. Whether that be from repetitiveness, lack of interaction within the actual maps themselves. Over time you start to feel really empty and the enemies start to feel more and more generic, unfortunately. And I wish there was just more customization across the board for the character. The builds, once you realize that you just need to pump stamina, it gets really boring really quick, and the game doesn't really encourage you to check out other avenues for builds, essentially, for your character. Don't get me wrong, the story is great, the designs are great. I think there's a lot of good about this game, but in comparison to everything else on this list, it just doesn't add up. Now we get to the last 3 on our list, And in my opinion, this is where it gets extremely tough. Shadow of the Erdtree, a DLC, but a full game in its own right, and a worthy contender on this list. This DLC is jam-packed with exciting new weapons, armor, builds, gameplay, design of story, map, and music, and overall, the whole story of the DLC and the whole experience of the DLC is standalone worthy to be next to Elden Ring, in my opinion. They work so well together, and it's just, FromSoft knocks it out of the park every single time. They've found a formula that works, and they keep expanding upon it and making it better and refining it, and I'm just excited to see what they do next. And in my opinion, this DLC is a near perfect 10 out of 10. This whole thing was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've played it at least 4 times already now. Yeah, it's great. Now we get to the second to last game on our list, the penultimate entry on the nominees for Game of the Year, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And wow, Square Enix, you either hate them because of their mobile games, or you love them because they are kings in what they do, making an amazing RPG. And even though this is a remake in a lot of ways, it is so new and jam-packed for a new generation. Everything about this game I really enjoyed. I'm not even going to talk about the story because we have a lot of OG fans or people just who are upset about how certain things were handled. So disregarding that, I think it was great. I think whether you liked it or not, it was well done. And just the amount of gameplay, the amount of mechanics that are added to this game just makes it feel so refreshing. And even if we're comparing it to the first entry within this new trilogy, it stands alone on its own. It really is fantastic, and there is so much replayability in this. Man, you just really fall in love with this game, whether you've played the original or whether you're playing it for the first time. A magical experience just happens. The music, the atmosphere, the character design, the enemy design, the gameplay, the combat, the mini games, the story, and the general progression across the board, it makes this game a solid 10 out of 10. Like, there's no questioning it. This game is amazing. Now we get to the final entry on our list, Metaphor ReFantazio, and man, has Atlus knocked it out of the park in a lot of ways. This is a beautiful story, and I mean a really beautiful story. The orchestration and the music in this game and the world in general is absolutely fantastic. There is so much about this that is really sort of a love letter for longtime RPG fans, and especially longtime fans of Atlus. You can definitely get 80 hours in this game, no problem. It's poetic, and it's the story and the themes within this aren't really hidden, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I feel this is really accessible in a lot of ways. On the other hand, this game is sort of familiar in the sense that you've played an RPG like this, but that doesn't mean it's bad. And I think this is just Atlus's version of something really familiar, but really well done. And I think if you're looking for just a good old-fashioned RPG experience that is going to allow you to get elements you've missed in recent RPG iterations of games, then I think this is for you. The archetype system itself is really interesting, and I'm a big fan of the social elements. I'm not so much a fan of how much they've taken over a lot of Atlus's games in recent times. So that balance here, I like that it's drawn back a little bit. And I like that, the story beats and the important social elements are sort of driven to the forefront instead of, having it take up most of your time. And yeah, overall, this game is really great. It's a strong 9 out of 10 for me, honestly, and it makes this whole list even harder. But after looking at everything, I sort of hinted at where I feel things are lying, but let's get into my final opinion of who I think deserves Game of the Year. Honestly, I don't know who's going to win Game of the Year. I don't have a confident answer. In my opinion, it's a 3-way tie, and us, as the gamer, are winning to BH. As an RPG fan, we're getting treated so well with games this year and next year. I'm super excited, but I think Astrobot's great, and I think Balattro's great. I don't think Black Myth: Wukong is great at all, so it's not going to win. And with all that in mind, if I had to bet money, they wouldn't give a DLC Game of the Year. They wouldn't. It just would upset too many people. So I'm putting my bets on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth winning Game of the Year. Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to know who you're betting on or who you feel deserves Game of the Year. Did you think someone was snubbed? Let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.